All right, we are back for another episode of hashtag Wednesday Match Play, and I am really pumped about tonight's guest. And I was so excited when I woke up this morning about tonight's guest that I decided to put a tie on. So I had to dress up for today's guest. And not only am I really pumped about just the quality of the product that these guys have, we've got some big announcements that we're going to be talking about throughout the course of today. But not are we just live here on YouTube, but we are live from the 2016 PGA show, and I'm not there. I was forced to stick around in Scottsdale, and as my boss, who's also here, likes to say, hold the fort down. But we've got John from Game Golf with us, and Game Golf is something that if you've not heard about it, then you need to just open up your eyes and ears because it is all over the place. And one of the things that it, to me personally, compares to is wearables. And I was just telling John that I wear a Fitbit to track steps and miles, and heart monitors, and the Apple Watch has got, wearable technologies. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But before we get into that, I want to know from him what Game Golf is, where it came from, what his role is. And John, welcome to the hashtag Wednesday Match Play.
Ricky, it's awesome to be here. Thank you. Awesome to be
So
here.
tell us a little bit about Game Golf, where it came from, what your role is with the company, and what you're doing in Orlando.
Sure. So I'm the CEO and founder of this company. It originated a number of years ago. I started looking at sensors. I knew with smartphone adoption that there was going to be new innovations and new opportunities. So with a background in engineering and a background in behavioral psychology and a passion for startups and entrepreneurship, this active mind technology Game Golf is the Medici effect of those backgrounds. So after a few years of going around Ireland trying to tell people about what I wanted to do, and everyone saying you're crazy, what are you talking about? We've no idea. I decided to move to Silicon Valley, San Francisco, to attract the talent, the resources, and the design for this company. And really, that kind of started getting the company going, if you like.
Well, that's really cool. And one of the I was talking about it being wearables. I've seen other types of this, and not just in golf, but the idea of wearables, and that's such a kind of a buzzword almost. And I almost look at Game Golf as a wearable for golf. So is that something that you would consider it, and kind of talk about where the idea of wearables as it relates to fitness and technology and how that translates to Game Golf?
Yeah. So wearables and sports-driven data are they're becoming a huge part of industries right now. So I'm just back, a few weeks ago, I was at the CES show, and you had major brands such as Under Armour, New Balance. In the sports space, you had, and then in the technology space, you had the likes of Intel and Qualcomm and those types of companies. All were, announcing wearables in the different categories, and most definitely in terms of sport. And if you had watched the Intel keynote at the CES show, the CEO Brian Kravanovich, he spoke about connecting consumers to their data via sport. So this is a wearable technology, data-driven performance is a huge thing that's beginning to happen. Not beginning to happen; it's happening in sport. And in 2014, Game Golf launched at the PGA show, and we had the CEO of the PGA of America, we had Mike McGuire, the president of the Golf Channel, and we had Graham McDowell, the US Open champion, and an Irish colleague on stage announcing the partnership. So we brought wearables to the industry. We were forced to do that. We have a leadership position, and of course, success brings competition, but competition is healthy because it's because you have other people. There's a lot of golfers out there, and what we've found out in the last 2 or 3 years, it takes time to get your name out there, to educate consumers, to drive awareness of the product. But we're very happy with the success we've been having to date.
That's really cool. And the product, to the point that you're saying that it takes time to get your name out there, you've done a great job with the branding of the product. And I think of, just when I think of the name of the product, one, I think of all capital letters for the words Game Golf, and then I think of the red and white combo, which I think that may or I'm sure it is on purpose, but it's interesting to me, just as someone that's in marketing, to be able to immediately connect those dots to the brand of Game Golf.
Yeah.
So Les Bailey, who is and if for those of you watching aren't familiar with the past of the hashtag Wednesday Match Play, it used to be branded as the Friday Foursome. The Friday Foursome is no more, and that's why we have the Wednesday Match Play. It's just the guest and I. Les Bailey and Jason Boslow were both members. They are members of the Google Plus Golf community, and they still like to provide questions. And Les has got a handful. Jason sent a bunch. And one thing Les wanted to know, the data capture market is getting crowded. What makes your product unique? And I'm excited to learn what you have to say about that, because he's right. There are a lot of these popping up, and the cream rises to the top, so to speak. So what makes game golf unique?
So that's a great question. You know, for longevity in a company, it's more than just product. It's the ecosystem that's around the product, the company, right? So, you know, we are really good at partnering. It's one of the things that we do really, really well. And it started in San Francisco. We partnered with a company called Fuse Project. Yves Berhard is a famous Swiss designer behind some of the most iconic consumer brands that are out there today. So you talked about our branding, our positioning, our colors, all of that really came from working with Yves. Yves has been responsible for the August Smart Lock, the Jawbone line of products, the electric motorbike, just it goes on. Very famous, very successful consumer products. So that influence is involved in our company. We also partner with the PGA of America. You know, PGA of America, they control grassroots golf. They've a fantastic reach in the US. And people back with their CEO basically, got involved in our company because he believes we serve two purposes. Really, one that can or help them serve their mission, which is to grow the game and serve their PGA members. And because we've two prongs to what we're doing, we've got an improvement side and we've got a fun side. And I believe both are very, very important. It can't be just about hardcore stats, because data on its own is dry. You got to bring the data to life. The data has to tell a compelling story. And that's the PGA of America. We also partner with the Golf Channel. Golf Channel is the number one media company in golf. They reach into 144 million homes across the US, and they're involved in our company also in a very unique way. We got tour players involved in our company: Graham McDowell, Lee Westwood, Jim Furyk, Cheston Hadley, Sophie Walker, and in the first three cases, they all are actually owners of this company. So that creates new behaviors. We're not paying for endorsements here. Um, and in all cases, all those companies are involved in our company as part owners. So that gives us massive leverage. Technology is going to change. I was at that CES show, and I'm telling you, even though we're based in Silicon Valley, um, some of the technologies that are coming from left to field are just in mind-boggling, right? And we're in the middle of it. We're friends with Fitbit. We're friends with some drone company. We're friends with a lot of different groups like that. So the quick answer is, I believe the ecosystem around the company is what allows a company to succeed, not just the product.
That is awesome, and it's really cool to hear that there are so many big names involved with the brand and with the company. And I didn't realize that those tour players were part owners of the company too. So that's really good insight. And we're going to have a question about that here in a second. And you had mentioned the stats, and that's what it is. It's a stat tracking solution. And Jason Boslow from Shop Junior Golf said distances, stats, shot, club selection, and other various data points are all important facets of the game right now. What do you think is the most important data point that your system tracks, and why? And I, off the bat, as a user of somebody that would want to know my data, maybe I want to know how far I hit my drive, or how far I hit my wedges, or whether I miss fairways left or right. But I'm curious to hear from the guy that founded the product what your favorite and most important stats are that are tracked within the solution.
I think that's a great question, Ricky. We came out with strokes gained analysis this year, and for sure, understanding the distances of your clubs is hugely important. Knowing that across our entire data set, which is the system now has been used in over 128 countries worldwide, knowing that 94% of golfers always pick the wrong club, they come up short of the green, that's very, very interesting. But for me, the way we're doing strokes gained, I think is really impressive. Where a lot of these wearable companies fall down, in my opinion, is giving the feedback, giving the contextualized information that's actually relevant, where you can actually do something about whatever it is you're working on. So with strokes gained analysis, we've actually done that. We use the data to tell you that off the tee, or your approach, or your short game, or on the putting surface, let's say as you approach, you should, your pitching wedge out of the rough, you need to dial that in, and if you dial that in, you can reduce up to 1.8 strokes per round. To me, That's incredibly powerful.
That's crazy good because you
Yeah.
figure out as a golfer, as you're collecting those stats, where you need to work on. And, I don't have a lot of time to practice. So when I do practice, I want to make sure I'm working on the right things. And it sounds like Game Golf's going to be able to dial that in and tell me what I should be practicing.
Yeah, that's the whole point of that. And then we've got benchmarks, which I think is pretty good too, where, if you're working with a coach and you want to be, let's say you want to become a 15 handicapper or an 8 handicapper or a 6 handicapper, you can look at a benchmark across our entire data set, and you can see how you perform visually. Nike did something similar in 2008 with a head-to-head in NFL football, and we've brought that really from NFL into golf. So from a coaching aspect, I think that's huge.
That's really cool. So, you're at the PGA show in Orlando right now. I've been several times, and it is a riot is a good word for it. It's just a chaotic, exciting week of golf. And there was an announcement that came out today, and Eat Sleep Golf said, "What does the Golf Pride partnership mean to the future growth of game golf?" So kick it off by telling us what that partnership is, and then what does that mean for the future of the product?
Yeah, so backing up that earlier statement about having partnerships being so important, we've got tier one partners in place. They continue to choose Game Golf for a reason. And once again, Jamie Ledford, the president of Golf Pride, has chosen Game Golf as the technology, the tracking technology to be integrated into their grips. And we all know that Golf Pride is the number one grip manufacturer in the world. They have 60% market share in all markets. They do I can't say what the number is, but they do like an enormous amount of grips per year. And their Tour Velvet is their number one selling grip. It's used by 80% of the tour players, and our technology is going into those grips.
That is really, really cool. And I actually need new grips. So maybe I need to jump on over and talk to the Golf Pride guys. That's really cool. Well, congratulations on that partnership. And I didn't realize there were so many of those partnerships behind this brand. And, when good brands partner with good brands, it equals a better solution for everyone. And
Yeah,
that's cool to know that you guys are doing that. So we talked about wearables a little bit, and Eat Sleep Golf, and I even mentioned the Apple Watch as being, and I don't have one, and I've never been a watch guy, but I do wear the Fitbit on my wrist. And they wanted to know that they said that they love the integration of the Apple Watch. Can you explain how that aspect works? And maybe you can convince me to go out and buy an Apple Watch.
yeah. So um, we surface data on the Apple Watches to give you your Basically, it's to provide to be really as seamless as we can be. So we're surfacing data for your distances. So distance to the green, what number of shots you've taken, and that's the app that we have on the Apple Watch today. Also, we've got the Pebble watches coming with similar apps, and we've got the Android Wear watches coming. And they're all coming in the next few weeks here. So we've been very, very busy in 2015, basically building out the platform, building out these watch apps, and it's really all about trying to provide relevant data to the golfer while they're playing without getting in the way of the round of golf. And that's a challenge to do that. And we see these watches as a vehicle to help with that.
So to that point, and I'm curious because I don't know the answer to this, can you use the technology during a round of play? Is it legal to use?
So Generation 1, which was Game Golf Classic, was approved by the USGA and the R&A, and we're the first technology to get that distinction, and still the only one, actually. The live product has been designed that it also is USGA and R&A compliant when you're not surfacing the data to the phone. So you can use it in standalone mode, or you can use it in delivering the real-time information.
That is really cool, and that is a good segue into the next question. So Thomas McGuire, who's a member of the Google Plus Golf community, said, "Are GMAC, Jim Furyk, Lee Westwood, these kind of game golf pro golf stars, are they excited about this new grip technology and its potential? Have they been able to utilize it as you get ready to launch this?"
So Graham actually was involved. So that's a good question because this is the Tour Velvet grip. It's exactly the same grip as the normal Tour Velvets. In fact, it's exactly the same weight, even with our tag in there. So Golf Pride. So Graham was involved in the conversation, and he was like, I'll use this if the weight is exactly the same, because for those guys, it really everything counts, right? So Golf Pride distributed the weight differently so that the grip so that it's exactly the same with the grip in it, which is pretty phenomenal. Um, so Yeah, these guys have been all over the development of well, Graham in particular has been all over the development of the new smart grip. And in fact, I got an email from him yesterday, which was pretty fantastic. I sent it out to the entire company, and it was basically saying, "Listen, John, I've been using the live device. I'm now proud to hand this thing out in pro-ams. I love the information it gives. I love the way it surfaces your shots, all that sort of stuff while you're playing." He goes, "I met you 5 years ago. What an awesome journey this has been. Congratulations, and keep it going." And I immediately forwarded that to the team and everyone, because everyone is proud of what we've achieved so far. Everyone.
That's really cool. Now, that is a good segue into my question that I hadn't even thought about. How many people do work for the company? Is it a big company?
So we've got 30 people employed today, and by the end of 2016, that will probably jump to about maybe 40 or 50 people.
Wow, that's awesome. It's so cool. And it's such a new company, too, to have seen this much success and have these big of names behind it and as a part of the conversation is something that you can, I'm sure, and are very proud of. So Les wanted to know, where can I find a list of the courses that are supported? And I would eventually assume that it's all, if not most of all of the golf courses out there. So is there a list of where this stuff is supported?
Yeah. On the platform, you can go to gamegolf.com / I think it's something like find a course, or else it's at the very bottom of the web page. You can go into find a course, and you can search for any golf course, and if it's got the green tick, it's mapped. But we've got over 33,000 golf courses worldwide mapped. And actually, if you go into the website itself and you go to courses, you can actually see who's playing on those courses with the Game Golf device.
That's pretty cool. Creepy, but cool. I like that.
Creepy.
That's really neat. So, Jason, back to him real quick. And this is a good question because I'm curious, too, because I feel like it could be most of these. But he wants to know what type of player would benefit most from the system. Beginners, intermediates, experts, PGA and LPGA Tour professionals. Who benefits the most?
I think there's a general question or general answer to that question. So, for example, we now have a girl called Sophie Walker from the Ladies European Tour, and she's using the product. So I think it was David on our team that actually seen that Sophie Walker is a tour player. So we reached out to her, and she said, "Yeah, we don't have the ShotLink system that's used in the PGA Tour, so I use Game Golf." So what we found is tour players outside of the US are using it as their ShotLink system. So obviously it's benefiting them in terms of their stats and in terms of being able to share their data. Then the high handicap golfer that just wants to grip it and rip it, I can compete against my brother Thomas, who's in Ireland, or my brother-in-law Paul, or all these guys that are friends of mine in Ireland that play golf. I can compete independent of course. So for the high handicap golfer that's just into the fun side of it, it has benefits there. And then for the low to mid handicap golfer, it's all about your stats. It's all about stroke scan analysis. It's all about benchmarking. And we've got Golf Channel and Tour players using it. We've got tour players using it. So we have developed a system that has both the fun element and the hardcore stats element. And we've designed it really well. And because data on its own is dry, you need to bring the data to life so that it tells a story. And so the real answer to that question is there's value propositions for all different types of golfers.
That's really cool. Now, we've talked a lot about these tour players and the ladies that are using it. And eSleeve Golf brought up one person that's using this product that's not really, and I've seen his swing. He's not really got the tour in his future. President Obama is using Game Golf.
Yeah, so I was on the way back from a meeting with Apple Retail last year. I think it was last year, and or was it 2014? Oh, I forget. But so I'm on the way back on the 280, and I get a Google alert saying President Obama wears Game Golf, and I was like, pull over the car. And so we got to the office, all the team around the Max, looking at all the pictures. I couldn't believe it. I mean, honestly, it was an interesting moment personally for me.
He should invite you to the Oval Office to hand him a set of golf pride grips.
Maybe St. Patrick's Day when we hand him the Shamrocks, we'll hand him a Game Golf Live device.
That's awesome. So Game Golf said that they've heard rumors about Game Golf branching into other sports. Is that true? And if so, what will be the next sport that Game Golf branches into?
The whole point of the game brand, the game word as a brand is that Game Golf, game, etc. we have 1 million rounds of golf have been uploaded to the platform. 450 million rounds of golf are played on an annual basis across the US. So we will be going a lot deeper in golf before we go across to other sports. However, though, we are architecting in a way that can go across to other sports. But right now, we haven't even scratched the surface in golf. We're just starting.
Well, as I always like to say, the best is yet to come. So that's really cool to see that you've been this far this quickly, and the fact that the future is definitely bright. So, Jason has a really good question. This is good to me because I'm obsessed with like the idea of gamification, not only wearables but gamification, and I'm also basically obsessed with social media. So, you said the gamification is a big deal with social media and online services. Talk a little bit about your challenge function.
Oh yeah, so we've built. It's really a brand. Well, okay, yeah. So we've built this. So actually, you know what? Um, I know the founders of Fitbit very well, and I also know the founders of Jawbone very well. And so from looking at what they were doing in the world of challenges, we said, hey, I wonder would it be interesting to bring that into the golf industry. And having the tour players, I wonder would amateur golfers like to be able to participate against Lee Westwood, Graham McDowell? Sure, we all know that we can't beat them head to head, but you know what? Maybe in certain skills, maybe in longest drives, maybe we can actually beat those guys. So we built this challenges platform that really allows for individuals to take part against our tour players, but also allow brands such as like Bridgestone have been running a longest ball competition on it. So it's a brilliant engagement tool, and it's fun, right? It's if I go out there on a Saturday and when I upload my round of golf that I know I'm going to be on a leaderboard against Graham, Jim, or Lee. I think that's pretty awesome, and I think it's pretty different. And the industry needs different. It needs pretty awesome, and it needs this type of stuff.
So let's say I want to download the app and I don't have the actual hard product in my hands. Can I use the app for anything until I have the product in my hands? And then part two to that question is, where do I get it and how much is it going to cost me?
Yeah, sure. So to answer that question, these are parts of the app, right? So you can go to the App Store and you can go to the Play Store, both on iOS and Android, and you can download our free apps for both iOS and Android. That gets you on the system. You manually tag each shot. It gives you your range finding capability, and it gives you access to the entire platform. So what we found is people, they use that for 2 or 3 times, and next thing they start, then they want the device because the device makes it that little bit easier. So that's where you get those apps.
So now you say that you have to manually enter it on the app. Now I've heard rumors that the first iteration of Game Golf is after you hit your shot, you actually had to tap the device that you're wearing on your hip or what have you. Do you still have to do that, or is it now automatic?
So probably one of the least understood things about Game Golf is that tagging action. So when we sat down to design this technology, we had Yves Berhard, the world-class designer. We had Graham McDowell, and I have a background in behavioral psychology. So we spent hours talking to Graham, and eventually we realized that when Graham pulls the club out of his bag, he steps back, he looks down the fairway, and he asks himself the question, or he plays the shot in his head. What would a good shot look like here? And immediately I said to Yves Berhard, I was like, we need to build that in as a trigger, because if we could get people to ask that question and play the shot in their head, they'll actually reduce their scores. Because if you're focused on the shot at hand versus the bad shot you just took, you have a real chance if you're focused on each shot like that. And actually, when Phil Mixon was winning those majors, he was working with a sports psychologist, and that's the work that they did, having a mental trigger but a physical cue to trigger that. So the tagging actually is all about when you tag, that's a trigger to ask yourself, what would a really good shot look like here? Now, that's fine for people that know that, and for people that don't, we have to handle that as well. So we launched this shot detection algorithm that allows for people that if you forget to tag, that we pick up that you took a shot via the sensors in the device.
That's really cool. That takes the work off of me a little bit there, so I don't have to always think about it. So are there any stats that Game Golf provides that golfers aren't expecting it to that are surprising to the users, or is it just the pretty basic stuff that you've talked about in regards to the stats that it collects?
Ask that again, Ricky. I'm not sure if I understood that question.
Are there any stats that you've found that golfers that are using the app that it uncovers that they didn't realize that the app was? I mean, obviously, I think that it's going to give you distances or
all day long distance. It's like, like even I was talking to a girl this evening, and she's a PGA pro, and she was saying, I started using the system, John. I love it. I said, what do you really like about it? She goes, I thought I hit my drives 40 yards more than I'm hitting them. I realize that I'm hitting my drives the same distance as my 3-woods. So that's across the board. People, I think, as they get older, I think they hold on to a belief that they still hit the club the same distance as when they were younger. And, so I think that's the biggest thing. That's one of the biggest revelations for people.
Well, I mean, everybody hits their driver 300 and their 7-iron 150, right? Isn't that? I mean, that's pretty much.
That's what I do. That's
yeah, me too.
Family listen to me; they're now laughing. But okay.
This Game Golf Live concept, I think that's a newer thing for Game Golf, and I think that's going to be something that's going to provide me a lot of excitement as a user of it. So maybe I know you've talked a little bit about it, but are there anything else that you want to mention regarding Game Golf Live and what that's going to be like to us at home as the people using the device?
I think it really is such a better experience. So you get on a golf course. It's kind of magical, and I think that's what Graham said in his email. It's kind of magical to every shot you take to see it in real time, to see your distances in real time, your locations. But the stuff that we've got coming, the live leaderboards and all that type of information that the real time connectivity allows for. This is going to be a very interesting 12 months for Game Golf and its user base.
So because of the fact that we're live, and I've got a live Twitter feed going here, Johnny Davis 7 on Twitter just said, good interview with John McGuire. So he's enjoying that. He must be watching at home. And he said, when playing golf, I pick the wrong club 100% of the time. I should listen to my Game Golf stats. So I think you absolutely
awesome,
should.
Johnny. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. So I feel like we just got started and we're already about a half an hour into this. But before I let you go, we have this thing called the lightning round that we do at the end of every episode. And first off, I want to thank you for coming on to do this. I know that it's a busy week for you. You're in and out of meetings. I mean, you explained how you consumed your meal a little bit ago. So I know that you got a lot of stuff going on this week at the PGA show. But we do this thing called the lightning round. And because I've been to the show and I know a little bit about, the flow of the week, I wanted to make tonight's lightning round the PGA show edition. I've never done that before. And this is also a record-breaking # Wednesday Match Play, not only because it's only the 4th episode that we've done, but because it's the first time I've done a live interview like this from the PGA show. So it's really cool that you've been able to go on the show floor and be a part of the conversation from there. But the lightning round's just 9 fun questions, PGA show edition. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. So have you been to the PGA show before? And I know the answer to this because the Game Golf app and device launched at the PGA show, but how many times have you been to the PGA show?
I've been to the show maybe maybe 8 times. So 4 times as a guy coming here, trying to figure out the industry, trying to understand what was new, what was coming. And some of those times were very lonely, but obviously worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it now. So have you been over to the Callaway booth to see the airplane that's hanging above their booth?
Yeah, so so where we're located, and I can just show you very quickly, you've Adidas, you've got TaylorMade, you've got Oakley, and I know you've got Ping over there, Ping here. So Callaway's around here somewhere. Yeah, I've seen the plane.
It's pretty cool. I knew that they were doing that relationship with Boeing, but it was pretty cool that they basically built a Boeing inside of the Orange County Convention Center. So what is the most exciting product you're looking forward to this week outside of Game Golf? Is there anything that you're excited that's being launched that you're looking forward to seeing?
That's a good question. Let me see. What's the most exciting product outside of Game Golf? That's I don't know the answer to that honestly, because our head has been so focused. We've been just so focused on Game Golf Live, and especially the partnership with Golf Pride. Maybe there's some interesting putters out here actually.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? Actually, Golf Pride have a new putter grip that actually not just because we've partnered with them, but they have actually a very interesting new putter grip that I think is going to compete very strongly with the Super Stroke.
Okay.
I think that's very
cool.
interesting, actually.
I didn't know anything about that, so I'm going to have to look that up. Have you seen anything this week, though? It's just kind of getting started, but have you seen anything this week that surprised you? Anything that you didn't expect to see?
Well, I finally seen Scott from Eat Sleep Golf, and he looked completely different than I thought he would look, for a start. Handsome
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. So there are a lot of options on iDrive, but what's your favorite restaurant?
I keep being told here to tell you that our booth is number 563 for those that want to come. But our favorite restaurant, You know where we like going every time we come here is Lake Nona, Nona Blue, Graham McDowell's place, because
I'm,
the owner there is a howl. Like, I mean, you can stay there as long as you want. It's pretty good fun.
that's really cool. So, are you playing golf while you're in town? And if so, where? And if not, why?
I played in Seamstrong Monday with the Northwest Golf Links guys. They're friends of ours from Ireland. They have like 11 or 12 of the links courses in Ireland. In fact, John McLaughlin was one of the guys that introduced me to Graham McDowell's guys in the very first place, and has been a huge supporter of this company.
Very cool. So it was it's been in talks for a few days now, but it was finally announced today. Are you surprised that Hank Haney is going to be joining Callaway Golf?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, well, there. See, breaking news right here live on the hashtag Wednesday Match Play. Yeah, it was pretty cool. He was decked out in Callaway gear today, and they made the official announcement. And I tweeted about it, and I posted about it on Facebook, and one of my friends texted me, and he said, yeah, I've been talking about that for 2 days now. Old news. So I know this has absolutely nothing to do with the PGA show or game golf, but it's something that I've asked in every single episode of both the Friday Foursome and the hashtag Wednesday Match Play. Do you think Tiger breaks Jack's record? Why or why not?
Do I think Tiger breaks Jack's record? Oh, that's
And be very careful because I'm Tiger's biggest fan. So
yeah, no, I'm a fan as well. Oh God, if I had to put money on that, I don't think I'd put money on that.
That's a pretty good answer.
Yeah.
All right. I don't like that answer because I want you to say yes.
I'm being honest though. I don't know if he got his head right. He has the physical ability. Nothing has changed there. I mean, obviously, the body is kind of wearing a little bit on him, I think, as well. But it might be all connected. So if he could straighten things out between his two ears, yeah, he always. I mean, he's a genius.
That's a good answer. I like that. That's admitting a little bit of defeat, but also teeing it up that it could be the greatest comeback in professional sports history. Hey, and I got one more question for you, and I know a couple of the things that are coming, but what's next for game golf?
What is next for game golf? So, as I said, it's been used in over 126 or 28 countries worldwide. So there's obviously new markets that we can open up. That will require internationalization of the product. So really 2016 is going to be all about launching the smart grips, opening up new markets. We'll be bringing on new tours to our tour players to our Sports Star network. We've one or two very interesting ones that will really add to our brand, I believe. And it's all about execution. It's all about keeping ahead. We have a leadership position, and it's also about just continually looking outside of the industry to bring new innovations into what we're doing.
Very cool.
So it's just a year of execution and just staying out in front.
Well, John, thank you so much for joining us tonight on the hashtag Wednesday Match Play. That obviously the product is as good as it's ever been, and it's only going to get better. It's exciting to see where it's come. It's exciting to look forward to what's to come. And as I always like to say when I end the hashtag Wednesday Match Play is you just have to eat, sleep, golf.